Today we are going to be making apricot jam. I picked up a 24-pound box of beautiful local organic apricots. We will be canning today in half-pint wide-mouth jars, which is my current preference for making jellies or jams. This size is just easy to scoop out of when you're using the jelly, and it's easy to can because of the lower amount of water needed in the water bath. You'll start off by washing the apricots and removing any stickers, and then you'll cut them and remove the pit and the stem. I usually just slice at a slight angle so it makes it easy to just pop that pit right out. And then you'll dice and add them to a measuring bowl. And the recipe specifies 6.5 cups of crushed apricot. So just keep mashing it down, and you can add a decent amount more as you're compressing that amount. You'll then add the apricots to a cooking pan and add lemon juice, 3 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon. I did scale this recipe down because the original amount yielded 10 half pints and my water bath canner can only hold about 8. So I did scale everything down by about 20%. So here we'll add the sugar, 4 3/4 cups, and then you'll stir everything together. So the apricots, the lemon juice, and the sugar, and then you'll turn on the heat, and then you will basically boil down until it reaches the gelling point, which can take quite a while. I ended up boiling this mix for about an hour and 20 minutes, but it can take less time if you have a wider, more shallow pan. And you want to keep a very close eye out because especially at the beginning, the jam mixture can just boil right out of the pan. So keep a close eye on it, stir it very often, especially the bottom, because the mixture does have a tendency to burn, especially because of all the sugar. So basically you'll just keep stirring, and you can see how here the mixture starts off very watery and then it slowly starts to thicken. And when you're making a pectin-free recipe, basically just using the natural pectins in the fruit, you basically have to eyeball it, or if you have a candy thermometer, you can check the temperature, but I don't have one of those. So I'm looking to see how the mixture drops off a spoon, and if it starts to solidify when I put a little drop on a frozen plate. And you see when I run my finger through it here, the two sides don't run back together. They basically stay separated. So because the mixture is thickening, it is now time to can. So I start by removing one of those half-pint jars from the water bath. I had everything preheating and ready to go. And then I will go ahead and add the jam to the jar using that wide mouth funnel. And the headspace will be different for different recipes depending on what kind of food you're preparing. For jam, the headspace is 1/4 inch. So that's why it's really nice to have that spacer so that you can check if the recipe calls for a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, 1 inch. But for jams and jellies, pretty much across the board, it's going to be 1/4 inch. And I'm actually really proud of myself because I got it on the first try. I love making jams and jellies, it's so much fun. And then here I'll just go ahead and wipe the rim. I did use just water for this one because you don't really need vinegar, it's just sugar and fruit pretty much. So wipe that top, add the lid, add the ring, and tighten until finger tight. And then use those tongs to carefully place the jar back into the water bath. It did get a little stuck on the paper towel, so it required gentle encouragement. And as you can see here, I actually added an extra jar. You can see it there in the corner because it's always nice to have an extra. And then here we are boiling for 5 minutes, ensuring a 1 to 2 inch headspace of water above the jars. And after those 5 minutes of boiling, you'll remove all of the jars. And I didn't manage to get any of those pops on camera today. Everything moves pretty quickly with jams and jellies. You can see how hot everything is. And then you'll let the jars sit for 12 to 24 hours. And here we're picking back up the next day. And every single jar sealed, which makes me so happy. You can see every jar looks completely flat. There's not that bump in the middle. And I just turned it a little bit just to see if the jam would move. This one moved a fraction, but the other one's actually set perfectly well. You can do the lid test where you try to lift the jar up by the lid, and it does. So that way you know if the lid is flat and a little bit concave and you can lift the jar by the lid, your seal is perfect. And as you can see with this one, when I tilt it, it doesn't move at all. So that gel matrix set perfectly. I'm very happy with this batch. You'll then wash, dry, and label all of the jars, and they are now shelf stable for 12 to 18 months. Thank you for watching.